From the CBS 42 Storm Team, this is a severe weather alert.
Well, it's Tuesday evening. I'm Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Ashley Gann, along with meteorologist Alex Puckett. We are tracking an active line of thunderstorms moving into West Alabama. Right now, a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Tuscaloosa County. This is a live look from our Storm Team tower cam there. We are tracking heavy rainfall and significant lightning, frequent flashes of lightning here on our Storm Team tower cam. You can actually see, if you look closely, how that rain is really picking up in intensity across parts of Tuscaloosa right now. This is right downtown, but here's what I really want to point out for you at this moment. We are tracking a very strong thunderstorm, and earlier this storm system was actually, we think, had produced a tornado back in the city of Moundville. Right now it looks like that rotation is starting to broaden out, but there are definitely some very strong winds associated with this. This is from Tuscaloosa through the University Mall, along McFarland Avenue, along Interstate 20, and then back towards Cottondale, Grimes, north of Cedar Grove, up towards Brookwood. So if you see this orange polygon on your screen right now, so what I have on here is our wind velocity. So the brightest reds that you see currently from Tuscaloosa, city of Tuscaloosa, Northport included, down to Interstate 20, that's where those winds are going to be howling. This is all traveling northeast towards Brookwood and Birchfield. So just kind of treat this like it's a tornado. I would go ahead and get into the interior room of a home, maybe not saying, maybe you don't have to grab the helmet and all of that. But what I will say is I do believe that this storm system is likely cycling just a little bit, and it could possibly still produce a tornado. So if we go ahead and go through that preparedness plan and start inching our way towards that safe spot in our home, that's what I would recommend you doing right now, because again, these winds are really gusting right now. Let me do this for us real quick. I want to revisit our radar, make sure, let's see, we're in Birmingham radar. Let's look at this reflectivity, because we have some very heavy rainfall currently from Utah along 20 up into Moundville, Tuscaloosa, over into Jasper. So where you see these bright reds and purples on your screen, that would indicate where we're seeing some of that heaviest rainfall currently. And a lot of this wet weather draped across West Alabama. It's nearing I-65. We're here at Red Mountain, and just a few minutes ago we heard some passing rain showers atop the station here. That rain has tapered slightly, so the brunt of that weather hasn't quite pushed all the way into Jefferson County just yet, but it's getting very close. So I want everyone to be very prepared for this. Again, severe thunderstorm warning now in effect for Tuscaloosa County. That will be in effect until 7:30 this evening. Winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour are possible. Heavy rainfall and maybe even some small hail associated with this particular storm system. I do want to point out very quickly our tornado alerts. We still have tornado watches in effect for all the counties that you see highlighted in yellow. So from Coleman to Clanton, it includes both Jefferson and Shelby counties too, kind of right in the heart of our viewing area. But we're starting to see the counties back to our west being trimmed off. So Winston, Marion, Fayette, Lamar, and Pickens County no longer under a tornado watch this evening. That threat for you is over. That threat has now started to move into places like Tuscaloosa, Jasper, Coleman. Next up will be Birmingham, Alabaster, Clanton, and over into Brent. So that's something to watch closely. Not only are we going to be tracking the tornado threat, but also that flash flooding threat. We do have flood watches, advisories across most of central and west Alabama at this time. And so that flooding risk will remain in place. As long as it's raining out there, that flood risk is going to remain top of mind. So it's kind of as though we're dealing with a 1-2 punch here. We've got the tornado threat, but then we've also got the heavy rainfall threat. So if you may not be dealing with rotating storms, you may be dealing with water on the roadway. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, let's head over to the Weather Center right now, get a further breakdown from meteorologist Alex Puckett. Alex?
Obviously, the wind threat pretty significant here. We do have some reports of damage as this moves through Hale County. There was some roof damage to a structure in Moundville on Highway 69. This storm does not look, that circulation that was ongoing isn't as tight now. This is sort of a broader wind signature. The worst of this right now is pushing through East Tuscaloosa from McFarland Boulevard east and then back towards Cottondale, Holt, and Brookwood. We'll put a path on this. We'll put a storm track on it, and I'm also going to swap over to our shear rate product, and you can see where those brighter colors and the maroon starts to pop. That's where some of the strongest wind is showing up right now. It's moving northeast at about 45 miles an hour. So this is going to be moving over towards Northridge High School, Lake Ridge, Brookwood. And then ultimately, if it holds together, this would be pushing into southwest Jefferson County. No tornado, or no warnings, tornado or severe thunderstorm for Jefferson County. But if it holds together, you're talking about places like North Johns and Oak Grove seeing this around 7:30. And again, our concern here is not necessarily a tornado, but damaging straight line winds. We talked about for the past few days that low-level jet that's set up as these storms move through, and this is one of those storms that may be tapping into that right now and producing damaging winds. So from Tuscaloosa north and east towards Brookwood and Holt, this is going to be a pretty nasty storm. This storm has rotated at times, and I will note that there is a little bit of rotation there west of Cottondale towards Woodland Forest, so that's something we'll be watching pretty closely as well, especially over towards Cottondale right now, something that we're going to keep a close eye on there. Don't see anything that looks immediately tornadic on this, but there is some spin, and we'll have to pay close attention to that over the next few minutes. Ashley?
Thanks, Alex. We'll close things out here very quickly, but again, keeping an eye on that Tuscaloosa storm making its way into western Jefferson County. If it does get a tornado warning, we'll be here for the latest. Stay tuned on air and online, CBS42.com.
From the CBS 42 Storm Team, this is a severe weather alert.
Tornado warning in effect now for Tuscaloosa County. I know we left you moments ago, but now that's been upgraded from a severe thunderstorm warning. Area of rotation over the city of Cottondale. If you are in Cottondale, get to your safe place immediately. This storm system likely producing a tornado as we speak. We do have a CBS 42 crew in Tuscaloosa right now. We might be able to get to them in just a moment, but for now, we are talking about this area of rotation, again, just outside of Tuscaloosa. So, downtown Tuscaloosa, city of Tuscaloosa, and the campus of University of Alabama, you are not under the threat for this right now. This is a live look from our weather alert unit. I believe this is on McFarland Avenue. I believe we're looking north heading towards Interstate 20 with this view. You can definitely see how the rain is picking up in intensity there. If you're looking on our screen, this is what we call a rotation marker. So this is actually one of our in-house products showing where that center of circulation is. It's moving right over Cottondale as we speak, and this is going to stay slightly north of Interstate 20. So from Cottondale to Fleetwood and Holt. If you are in Holt, Fleetwood, Brookwood, East Brookwood, get into your safe place. For right now, this area of rotation, this tornado is going to likely stay slightly north of I-20. If you can hear us, maybe on your app, you're watching from your phone, possibly on Interstate 20, visibility is going to be very limited. I mean, we're talking almost zero visibility because of how intense this rain is going to be falling from the Tuscaloosa-Cottondale exit all the way back into Grimes. Please be careful on the roadways. Stay off the roadways as best as possible for the next 15 to 30 minutes. This is going to be a very rainy situation, and one of the biggest issues that we're going to have with this particular storm is it's all wrapped in rain. All right, let me take my shear marker off right here, because what I also want to point out for you is our velocity product. So this is where we will be tracking that area of rotation. We see a very well-defined couplet here, and that's where the greens and the reds are coming together on your screen. So it's giving us that curvature that we're seeing, and that's where we would most likely see that area of rotation. So right here, Deepwood down through Cottondale. If you're in Deepwood or Cottondale, get to your safe place right away. This is going to be along Highway 85, County Road 77, and then this is stretching down into Grimes right there. But again, this will stay slightly north of I-20. So I-20 is right here on the bottom of your screen, all right? So where I just drew that white line, that's going to be Interstate 20, but inside this circle, that's where we'll see that rotation. All right, so this is moving off to the northeast at this point. Let me zoom back out for you. We are hearing, if you hear some chatter going on in the background there, those are our tornado warnings going off here in our weather alert, our weather center, I should say. So we'll be monitoring that. But let me put a track on this. Alex, this is moving at about 45 miles per hour. Is that correct? So we've got these storms tonight have been moving anywhere between about 45 to 50 miles per hour. So here's the track on that storm. If you see your city on this screen, get to your safe place. If you live anywhere between these cities, get to your safe place. That means put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Stay away from windows and get to the lowest floor of your house. If you have a basement, great. If you just have a single-story home, that's fine. Just get to an interior room. And if you don't have a basement, again, try to find a closet, a bathroom. Be sure to grab a helmet, grab a noisemaker of some kind, maybe a whistle or something like that, and grab those closed-toed shoes. That's very important. So make sure that you are getting to safety. Let's review these cities of impact as this storm is traveling off to the northeast. So Brookwood, 7:11. The time right now is 7:03. Birchfield, 7:18. Bull City at 7:25. North Johns, that's going to be in right there at the western part of Jefferson County. That's going to be closer to 7:29. So again, if you see your city on this map, please get to your safe place. I want to redraw because I want to include a little bit more of that northern edge of this polygon right here. So again, moving at about 45 miles per hour. Fleetwood, it's moving into your neck of the woods right now, and then Birchfield at 7:18. Again, get to safety. Because the sun is setting, it's going to be much more challenging to see any of these features, the common features like a wall cloud or a funnel cloud, not visible. So don't try. The only way we would be able to see it potentially is with the bolts of lightning illuminating the sky, but that would be it. We actually have trained storm spotters tracking these storms for us tonight, and if they see something of importance, we will be the first to show you that. But for right now, we're just asking everybody else to go ahead and get to your safe place. Again, reminding folks that's as many walls between you and the outside as possible, lowest floor of your house, and staying away from those windows. So again, this is where we are tracking that area of rotation. Let me zoom back in here for you very quickly, and then we'll hop over to Alex here in just 1 second for a quick update. So again, we are looking at this, the velocity product here, and each scan that we've just seen has really held together. So Holt, Deepwood, Cottondale, and really now we're kind of moving outside of that to Fleetwood and Brookwood. That's going to be next up. It has broadened out slightly, but I would still encourage you to get to that safe place for sure. Let's see if is there any information on any potential for damage or anything like that, Alex?
We do have some hail reports right now coming out of Alberta, about quarter size. So that would be on the northeast side of Tuscaloosa. Do want to point out, so the circulation right now has just come over Hurricane Creek Park and is moving towards Patterson. Patterson sits about right here. Hurricane Creek Park about right here. This is going to continue to lift north and east. Brookwood is here. The high school sits just north of the B here in Brookwood, and then north of that are some of the coal facilities, the Warrior Met coal facilities on the north side of Brookwood. If you're out that way, you need to get in a safe place right now. That's where this thing is headed. And Brookwood is the next town in line. Peterson, Fleetwood, Brookwood, and then extending back up towards Birchfield. And then ultimately, if this holds together, this would be an issue for western Jefferson County. So if you're watching us back towards North Johns, Oak Grove, keep an eye on this as we head through the next several minutes, and just be aware that this is something that you might get a call to action on a little bit later on this evening. If this holds together, it would probably be crossing into Jefferson County within the next 30 minutes or so. So that'll be something that we'll be watching for long term. Short term, Peterson to Brookwood in Tuscaloosa County, you need to be in a safe place back towards Brookwood, and especially the north side of Brookwood back towards the coal facilities out there. You need to get in a safe place. If you live out to, or you're out towards Warrior Met Coal, we want you to get in a safe place right now. That is where this thing is headed right now. Hurricane Creek Park. There's a few churches out this way. Little Hurricane Creek Baptist Church between Cottondale and Brookwood. If you live out there, we want you to get in a safe place right now. This is continuing to lift north and east on Highway 216. Basically, if you live along Highway 216 or near it, between Cottondale and Brookwood, you need to get into a safe place right now. That's the lowest floor of your home, away from doors and windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And if you don't have a storm shelter, if you don't have a basement, or you don't have an interior room, if you're in a mobile home or if you're in a car, you need to find somewhere safer to get to. So a site-built home is where you need to be, or a site-built building of some kind, or a storm shelter. And we've got information on storm shelters that are available in Tuscaloosa County on our website if you need to go find one of those. But if you're watching in Brookwood, you have got to get into a safe place right now. Again, zoomed in here. The high school sits about right here, and then north of this map, north up here towards where where it says wind velocity, that's where some of the coal stuff is. Warrior Met Coal is back up that way. So that's where this area of rotation is. I'll be honest, Ashley, the good news is I think it's broadened out some since this warning was issued. It looked a little bit more intense back over Cottondale. I have not seen any reports of any kind of damage from Cottondale. The only report we've gotten out of this storm in Tuscaloosa County is quarter-size hail in Alberta. Outside of that, I don't have any reports, which is good. We hope we keep it that way. But again, because of this storm still rotating, we want the folks in Brookwood to be in a safe place. Ashley.
Thanks, Alex. All right, continuing to monitor the situation. As Alex just mentioned, the last few scans have broadened this out, but I want to emphasize this. Regardless if it's a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning, it can have the same impacts, okay? The tornado, just because it spins, doesn't make it necessarily any more impactful than straight line winds at 60 miles per hour. It can still topple trees, power lines, so there can still be very similar and sometimes worse damage with severe thunderstorm warnings. So again, I don't want you to necessarily let your guard down when we start saying things like this is broadening out, or there's not a tornado warning, it's just a severe thunderstorm warning, because it's not just any of those things. All of this carries with it threats tonight. We've got hail threats, we've got wind threats, we've got rain threats. So again, a little bit of everything. And right now we're in that rotation threat. So this is where we would be having any type of tornadic activity. So remember, for tonight, those threats, and this is why we have that weather alert in place for tonight. It's effective until 6 o'clock in the morning, but all types of severe weather are possible. Right now, we're in the tornado threat zone, and we're also in the damaging wind threat zone. Flash flooding not going to be an issue right now. That could become an issue overnight, and there could be some small hail. We're already getting reports of that. Penny to quarter-size hail is possible. So 3 of those 4 threats are ongoing at this very moment, okay? So this is something that we need to take seriously, because a lot of these threats can happen again kind of at the same time. I do want to point out in the last scan here, it does look a little interesting. I'm watching the back edge of this area of rotation, because we are starting to see velocity kind of picking up in intensity just a little bit. So the speed is going to increase. I can tell that by those pixels. The brighter the green those pixels are, and we can actually measure these pixels. So if we're looking at this and we couple couple these wind speeds together. Now these are velocity products. This is winds aloft, so 60 plus 20. You've got 70 plus mile per hour winds. Again, a little bit elevated. But as those come down to Earth's surface, anywhere between about 55 to 60 mile per hour winds are possible. It doesn't necessarily require rotation for that to be a very strong wind that's going to be entering into Brookwood as we speak. So near Brookwood High School, as Alex had pointed out there, and then moving up towards East Brookwood and Pattersontown. That's the areas that I think that we need to really keep a watchful eye out on. I think in this polygon, it's fencing in that danger area pretty well, but I think the northern end of it, this is traveling a little bit more to the southern part and kind of the eastern part of this warning box. Right now, Cottondale, you're on the backside of the storm system. Same with Holt and Lake Ridge. I'm not going to give you the all clear just yet, but you're close to getting it. But I still think the best intensity of this storm in Tuscaloosa County is occurring right where you see those greens and reds coming together. We're still seeing some area of rotation. It's a broad area, but keep in mind that all of this is going to produce very strong winds, some very heavy rain. I'm going to put our lightning back on here because we have noticed our lightning kind of picking up just a little bit, but in the last scan, we haven't seen quite as much lightning, and that's actually a good sign. Oftentimes when these storms begin to produce more lightning, that's a sign of intensification. When we start to see less lightning, that means that the storm could potentially be weakening just a little bit. So I'll keep this on for just a little while. We're seeing far less lightning right now than we did, say, an hour or two ago. Man, these storms, as they barreled into West Alabama, were just electric. They were lighting up the afternoon sky. Right now, not quite as much, but as we see these strikes of lightning increase, that would be a sign to me that this storm system is not done just yet in the Tuscaloosa County area. Well, and really it's east of Tuscaloosa. So if you're in Tuscaloosa or in downtown Tuscaloosa, Northport on the university, you're fine at this point. You're in the all clear zone, but it's going to be that storm system in East Tuscaloosa County. That's going to be moving into western Jefferson County. And although I think this particular cell will stay just due west of downtown Birmingham, it's also important to remember there is a tip-off tonight that was at 7 o'clock at the BJCC. So for anybody that had plans to go to the BJCC, maybe you're listening from within the BJCC, make sure you have a plan in place in case some of these storms become a bit more active in the next hour or so. And that does created a situation where folks need to get to safety. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the storm. It really has broadened out quite a bit. I think this is turning into a straight line wind event. However, I'm a little concerned with this little notch on the backside. It keeps wanting to loop around. So on that last scan, I did notice kind of the greens and the reds kind of tightening up just a little bit, just to the west of Brookwood. At first, we were initially looking at what was happening right over Brookwood, but now it looks like it's kind of looping itself back around just a little bit. That's layman's terms here. Let me look at just a couple of other things on our map here. Again, we're doing some real-time analysis with you guys. It's kind of the beauty of some of our in-house products here. We got a lot of tools in our toolbox, so we want to make sure that we use them all. Not really seeing much on our debris tracker, so that's actually a positive sign. If there was a tornado on the ground, it would generally create a path of damage. That damage would then be lofted into the tornado, and then our debris indicator would identify where there might be some debris elevated in the atmosphere. That's one of those confirmation tools. We don't necessarily use our debris indicator to forecast tornadoes, but we use them to confirm, and we can oftentimes confirm the strength and intensity of those based on the greens or the blues that we see on this map. We're not seeing that right now. That's actually good news. But with that in mind, I do want to make sure that we are not losing sight of this, because this is holding together. Although it's broad, it is definitely holding together. This is making its way towards Birchfield and Pattersontown. So if you're anywhere from Birchfield to Pattersontown, Brookwood, get in your safe place, stay in your safe place for right now. This particular storm system is moving at about 45 miles per hour. Next up would be Bull City, and then on into Johns. So again, some very strong winds at this time. And that's really, I think, the big story for what we're seeing right here in Brookwood at this current moment. That does not in any way negate where we're seeing some rotation. I also noticed this little feature right here. We're starting to see that rotation. It's almost like there's two potential areas kind of embedded in this one broad space. So I'm going to circle both of those. First up, is this area where you see the green and red here. And this is still a little peculiar to me on the left-hand side there. So there's almost 2 spots that I'm keeping an eye on. I think this first one that's closest to Brookwood and closest to East Brookwood, I think this particular area of circulation would most likely be producing a tornado if it were to still be on the ground there. But that's just something that we're looking at. Again, this is kind of real-time analysis for us. And I do want to switch back over to our Tuscaloosa tower cam. I'm seeing some flashes of lightning every once in a while on our Tuscaloosa camera. I'll leave this up for just a second. We'll kind of talk through what we're seeing here in Tuscaloosa, and then we'll toss it over to Alex here in just 1 second. So right now, again, lightning, we saw it a lot more frequent about, I don't know, would you say about 15, 20 minutes ago? Man, this night sky was just electric. Now, not seeing quite as much, but also the storm system has moved east of Tuscaloosa for the most part. So our storm team tower cam is located in the campus, basically, on top of DHR Medical Center there. But now we're just seeing less frequent lightning strikes. So that's good news. But again, the storm is kind of moving away at this time as well. So we'll continue watching this. I'll be looking at the radar, but let's send it over to Alex right now for a little bit more info.
Ashley, just wanted to point out some power outages that we've got right now. This is data that we've got coming in. About 100 power outages in Fayette County, about 100 power outages in Pickens County, about 700 power outages being reported in Hale County, and about 1,000 in Tuscaloosa County. Now, we don't have information beyond that county level at this point as to where those outages are occurring. We did just get a couple of damage reports in. One that is of a particular note is going to be right now near Brookwood, a lowering that a spotter saw, and some power flashes. So that would indicate at minimum we've got damaging winds here, and potentially more than that. Again, that tornado could potentially have redeveloped there near Brookwood. And we did have a report of trees down in Parrish in Walker County at Thompson Road and Stevenson Road. The tornado warning still in place. There may be some redevelopment right now north of Brookwood and some of the some of the coal territory up there. And again, something a little bit suspicious there in the velocity data. That might be tightening back up just a little bit. So that's something we'll continue to monitor really closely. Ashley was keeping a close eye on that. We have not seen a debris signature on this, and that's good news. But there is still some spin there and something that we'll have to monitor really closely. Again, I want to point out for those of you who are watching back towards Oak Grove, North Johns, the western end of Jefferson County, you are not under any kind of warning at the moment in the southwest end of Jefferson County, south and west of Birmingham. But for Oak Grove, North Johns, Hueytown, Pleasant Grove, you would likely be included in a new warning if we get a new one that gets extended north and east. So just be aware. It's not a call to action yet, but be aware we may have to get you going and have you executing that weather safety plan if that warning gets issued. Ashley.
All right, thanks a bunch, Alex. Let's reset here. We're going to go back to our radar. This is where we are tracking that area of rotation just outside of Brookwood, and that's in Tuscaloosa County. We do still have that tornado warning in effect for us across Tuscaloosa County, and it reaches all the way to right at that Jefferson County line. This is our weather alert unit. We have our photojournalist as well as our reporter, Jake. They are in the weather alert unit right now, heading down McFarland Avenue. Jake, can you hear me?
Yeah, Ashley, I can hear you. We're actually hopping on the interstate as we speak right now, and as you can see, things are really picking up out here. I mean, we were sitting in a parking lot, and we just felt those strong winds, and my photojournalist said he saw some hail as well, and we witnessed some partial flooding on the roads too. I mean, it just really picked up here because throughout the afternoon, things have been kind of steadily quiet. Clouds were dark. There was some rain that happened. It came, and then it went away, and then it came back like this. So we've seen quite a bit of rain, a lot of gusty winds as well.
Jake, tell folks you've been in Tuscaloosa for much of the afternoon. Tell us what it's been like, because I know it was quieter this afternoon, how it's been changing, and now of course you're in heavy rainfall. So kind of walk us through the weather changes through late this afternoon and early this evening.
And it's kind of incredible, actually, to see how quickly the weather can change. And when we got here earlier this afternoon around 1, it was sunny, a little windy, but it was in the 70s and it felt great outside. But now, as you can see, it's just really picking up heavy rain. We're just seeing a lot. We've seen some people park on the side of the road, some people not trying to test the flood waters that have formed a little bit. It's not anything significant from what we first saw, but we did notice some ponding on the roads as well. And like you've mentioned throughout our newscast today, that saying, turn around, don't drown, it's really not worth it, but it just has really picked up. It just seems like in the last 30, 35 minutes.
What do you think the lightning, what would you say the lightning has been like?
The lightning, it's like someone is, it's like when you watch a game, a national championship game, and you see all the cameras flashing, the lights flashing as people are taking pictures. It's looked like that in some ways when we were sitting in a parking lot. We were just witnessing the lightning just continually flash for a few minutes. It was really bizarre to see all of that at once, but it was really powerful to see that as well.
And as far as the roadways go,
as you can see it right there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So as far as that goes, what we'll do, we'll let y'all continue heading down the interstate there. Stay safe, guys, and we'll make sure to get back to you here in just a little bit. There again on the safer side of that storm there in Tuscaloosa County, and that's our reporter Jake Chapman reporting from Tuscaloosa. All right, speaking of what Jake was talking about, we have flooding safety. I just want to revisit this very quickly because heavy rainfall is going to continue to be an issue overnight. I know our primary concern has been the tornadic activity for the early evening, but as we move into the overnight hours, heavy rainfall can definitely lead to that rapid rise in those water levels, especially on the roads where the water can't drain off quickly enough. It only takes about 6 inches of water to sweep a person away, about 12 inches of water, and sometimes less than that for a car and SUV, and about 18 inches of water for a large vehicle like an 18-wheeler. Turn around, don't drown is our motto. As you reach that area of water, just if you don't know how deep it is, don't go through it, and don't try to gauge it because it's very deceiving when you're inside the car exactly how deep that water really is. So we want to make sure that everyone is staying safe. All right, I want to quickly show you this because this is our temperature and dew points. Dew points are in the 60s to our west, but they're still in the 50s in central and east Alabama. That's a benefit for East Alabama because there's just not as much umph in the atmosphere. I know this is a very technical term, but I think that this really paints a picture for those of us, or for those of you that are watching us right now in East Alabama, wondering if this threat will continue to propagate through central and east Alabama overnight tonight. For the most part, I think that I-65 is really going to be our stopping point for a lot of this activity. As we move into East Alabama, the air mass just gets more stable. It's hard to get a lot of severe weather when you've got dew points in the low to mid 50s. So I guess if there's any silver lining in this forecast for tonight, things will be improving through the evening hours. But right now, all attention is on Tuscaloosa County. We have that tornado warning in place in Tuscaloosa County until 7:45 this evening. And this storm system is tracking off to the northeast at this point. And as we monitor this storm system, although it has broadened out, it still has a hook. It still has curvature to it, and it's rotating. I mean, the reality is this storm is spinning. It's just a matter, is it spinning at 5,000 feet, 1,000 feet, or on Earth's surface? When that funnel cloud, when that area of rotation, that spin touches down on the ground, that's the moment it becomes a tornado. Until then, it's a funnel cloud, and even prior to becoming a funnel cloud, it can just be a broad area of rotation in the sky. So these clouds, these thunderstorms rotate prior to dropping that rotation as we so-call a tornado. So, all right, so here's what it looks like right now. Again, we've got a decent couplet here. There are certain features about it that I'm not overly impressed with, but with that in mind, that's likely why they're not extending this tornado warning into Jefferson County just yet. But this is still going to create some very gusty winds. I have noticed the lightning count going down just a little bit, Alex. That's probably a good sign for this storm. It's likely showing that it's weakening. That last scan, it looks like we've really started to broaden out just a little bit more. It's become a little bit more convoluted in there with our reds and greens on the map. Any new information from the National Weather Service, Alex?
I don't have any new reports at this point. I will point out there is now a flash flood warning in effect for Tuscaloosa County. This includes Tuscaloosa, Northport, Coker, Lake Tuscaloosa, all the way back up Highway 43 up towards the Fayette County line, and the maroon polygon that you see there. That goes until 9:15. And where you see these oranges on the map here, the darker yellow into orange, you're at anywhere between about 2.5 to 3 inches of rain, closer to 3 inches across or more in some spots of rain has fallen just over the past 3 hours. That's why that flash flood warning's gone into effect, and that will be an issue for Tuscaloosa, Northport, Coker, up to Lake Tuscaloosa and beyond in parts of central and northwest Tuscaloosa County over the next several hours. The tornado warning technically in effect until 7:45. We'll switch back to the regular radar here. That storm and the rotating part of the storm is going to be pushing off into Jefferson County soon. Now, as Ashley has pointed out, this has broadened out significantly at this point. I don't see anything that to me looks like an imminent tornado in that radar data, in that wind data. But I do want to point out that tornado warning is still in effect. A lot of this is mining territory out here. I do know there's a couple of stores out this way, a couple of small grocery stores, a couple of churches, but really there's not a ton out here until you get across into Jefferson County and head towards Oak Grove and North Johns. Still, if you live out this way, northeastern corner of Tuscaloosa County, we want you to get in your safe place right now and go ahead and treat this like the tornado warning that it is. Treat it seriously. It's a few minutes of your evening. It's not the biggest inconvenience. The best course of action is to go ahead and do that. But I think what's going to end up happening here is, yeah, so what they're going to do is they're going to let the tornado warning expire. That happens at 7:45. The severe thunderstorm warning is still in effect. The tornado warning is still technically in effect, but they are going to end up letting this go. Tuscaloosa County EMA, no reports of any damage, so that's fantastic news. They may not even go with a severe thunderstorm warning on this. We'll see. I think they're going to go with a strong thunderstorm. They're noting that this will be a strong storm that pushes into Jefferson County. But at this point, we are likely to lose the 2 warnings that we have for Tuscaloosa County here in the next few minutes. But I don't think, based on what I'm seeing here, that they're even going to extend the severe thunderstorm warning, Ashley.
Yep, you're right. Strong thunderstorm. So from the National Weather Service right now, it says just a broad area of rotation now is left in Tuscaloosa, but they are issuing that strong thunderstorm. So essentially at this point, as you move into Jefferson County, again, don't let your guard down. Winds are going to be really fiercely howling anywhere from North Johns, and that stretches back into 459 and then along 2059, Highway 150. So just be mindful of that as you start to move into the Hoover area. We could be dealing with some gusty winds here within the next 30 to 45 minutes, but this will lift all the way to Hueytown, Mulga, and Adamsville eventually as this stretches through north and northwest Jefferson County. Again, most of this activity is going to really hug that 2059 corridor as we speak, but rainfall is moving into the Birmingham Metro. We can actually hear it right now on our Storm Team Tower, or we can hear it at our station. I'm going to show you on our Storm Team Tower Cam what that looks like as the rain is falling. This is one great camera that we do have. It's from the BJCC. And speaking of the BJCC, there is an ongoing squadron game right now playing a team out of Sioux Falls at this hour. Tip-off was at 7 o'clock. Fortunately, folks inside are fine right now, but something to definitely watch as we move through the evening hours. Rain is picking up in Birmingham as we speak. You can see that. So I mean, it's very clear to see that the camera lens has several raindrops there starting to amass, and we're going to see that rain intensity picking up here in the next short while. Okay, warnings completely canceled, so no more tornado warning for Tuscaloosa County. That's great. Let's go back to our radar very quickly so we can just do a quick reset for y'all. All right, so as we look at our map here, we will be monitoring the, so the warning has been canceled. Great news there. And let's put it back in our home view. There we go. Reset this very quickly, and we will put our reflectivity back on because that's how we will see the rain. Right now we're looking at our velocity product, but let's look at our reflectivity. Essentially all of this means is heavy rainfall. And where you see these counties, now it's a little deceiving because tornado warnings are bright red and then the flash flood warnings are kind of a maroon color. I know it can be a little hard to see and discern between what's a flash flood warning and a tornado warning, but right now I want to tell you a flash flood warning for Tuscaloosa County, and then we also have a flash flood warning now for Sumter County, again, a little bit outside of our CBS 42 viewing area, but this heavy rainfall is moving out of Tuscaloosa, moving into western Jefferson County. You've seen this movie before. If you know those spots, what I call the usual suspects, any of those lower lying areas, be prepared for significant rainfall, water level rises in a short amount of time. Stay off the roadways if you can. In the Birmingham Metro, downtown, those areas that are prone to flooding, this heavy band of rain moves through southern Jefferson County, clipping the northern part of Shelby County. So other spots like Pelham along Highway 119 could amass a bit of rainfall here within the next 45 minutes to an hour. This quickly falling rain may limit some of that runoff as well. As far as that goes, the only active warnings that we currently have right now are the flash flood warnings. So we no longer have our tornado warnings here for central Alabama. So if it's okay, guys, upstairs, I think we'll go ahead and roll off the air here. Actually, I take that back. We'll stay in studio for just a minute. I'm going to toss it to Art.
And Ashley, thanks a lot. As you guys have been talking about the weather conditions there, we also are learning of another situation at McFarland Boulevard at McFarland and University Boulevard as we take you to Tuscaloosa. This is a report of 2 vehicles that have flooded out in that area. We're getting reports, and this is from the Facebook page of the police department of the city of Tuscaloosa, in fact, reporting flooding. This is on McFarland Boulevard, not far from DCH Regional Medical Center. You can see no other vehicles in that area. You can see some of the water on the roadway there, but 2 vehicles that have flooded out in that area. This is flooding on McFarland Boulevard. This is near University Boulevard as well. And this is from the City of Tuscaloosa Facebook page as they're telling us that, and we're also looking at this live here. So as the rain has continued to fall in the area, you saw the report from our storm team, weather team about the tornado warning in that area. We heard also from Jake Chapman, who is on the road. He's in our CBS 42 Storm Team Weather Alert Unit, giving us a drive through that area as the weather conditions there deteriorating by the hour there. We saw earlier that we had sunshine, it was pretty clear skies, clouds started moving in, and then not long after that we also saw the precipitation move in with the rainfall, and we heard from Ashley and Alex about the conditions in terms of the actual tornado warning in Tuscaloosa County. But now this is the situation there, very, very slippery on the roads now as we are seeing that the roads are filled with water. So that's the situation in Tuscaloosa now as you keep it right here on CBS 42 and on our CBS 42